Welcome to Conversations in the Closet with your host, motivational speaker, fitness expert, and fashion guru, Theresa Roemer.
Welcome to Conversations in the Closet. I am your host, Theresa Roemer, and I have a very special guest, Maz.
Hey, Theresa, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
So, some of the world may know, some of the world may not know that I babysat my twin grandsons over the weekend. And boy, oh boy, does it bring back memories of, raising my children at that age. And how much, I'm around my twins all the time, don't get me wrong. We have 10 grandchildren and I'm around the twins probably the most, but to watch them for 4 straight days, woo, it makes you realize why young people have kids.
Oh yeah, that's quite a challenge. Especially twins, especially boys.
Oh my God, they're so roughhousing and on the go, and oh my God, it's like I couldn't think of enough things to keep them entertained, And my house is like grandma heaven, anyways, because I have a basketball court and we have trampolines and we have electric motorcycles and bicycles and we have a playroom with rubber flooring and chalkboard walls, and I'm like, I have grandma heaven here. Like what kid wouldn't love it here?
Well, what normal person wouldn't love it there?
But what do they normally do? They normally go, Grandma, can we work on our iPads? No.
Oh my God, technology.
Oh, work on my iPad is not work. It's called, how many games can we play? Technology is kind of bad sometimes because it's like the kids just stay glued to this object for hours.
Absolutely. Technology has ruined the personal time of just humans on Earth to interact with each other.
Yeah.
Not just kids, just humans in general.
Right. And so, the topic I have today is, when is it time to discipline your children? And, it could be grandchildren, because like I said, there was many times this weekend I had to call like timeouts. I had to stick them in the corners. I had to take their iPads away. I was like, God bless it. When does it, I thought by being a grandma, I never had to worry about that stuff anymore, but good God, here we are, I'm in the throes of it. So, they say sometimes that grandparents spoil the grandkids. Well, not in this case. I have to lay the hammer down. I think they're more scared of me than they are their own mother.
Well, so in our case, it was different when we would leave the kids with my mom.
Yeah.
They were in heaven because my mom would let Chanel do everything she wanted to do.
Right.
I remember once we went away for a weekend and we came back and my daughter was with my mom, and I opened the door to my mom's house and I saw my daughter. I think she was like 18 months to almost 2 years. She was drawing all over the walls, and I'm talking about my mom's house. It's this, she's this man with just amazing taste everywhere. But she didn't care, and I'm like, Mom, what are you gonna tell her? She's like, oh, it's okay, just let her have fun. I'm like, Mom, this is not fun. This is destroying property. She'll do it in our house. If you like it in yours, that's fine. Right. She's gonna do it at our house, and
right.
I don't like it.
So it's kind of, so the question here is, how much is too much or how little is too little when it comes to discipline? Because to me, discipline means teaching someone right from wrong.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so whether it's, like you said, an 18-month or a 2-year-old, or whether it's an 8-year-old twin like I have, or maybe it's like your 16-year-old daughter. 17-year-old daughter. It kind of goes anywhere from spankings to to groundings to whatever. How do you discipline your 17-year-old now? She's no longer 2 years old. She's 17 now. So when it comes to disciplining, what are your choices now? Do you have?
Basically, I'm the wrong person that you're talking about this topic because I recently had an incident that came up in our lives, and I had to be guided by my mother, my wife, my aunt, everybody that was a little bit different than me. Because as a father, when it comes to your daughter, you don't think. You just want to get your little, protecting shield out, and you just want to protect your child and lock her up in a room and keep her away from everything bad in the world, and that to me is disciplining. But the thing is, I guess you have to have a little politics with people, even with kids. Too much, but disciplining is everybody's tolerance and patience level.
Right.
She had it very easy with us, and I guess a little bit too easy, that sometimes I mean, she's a great kid. I gotta tell you, for a teenager, we have a very respectful daughter. She has good grades, but sometimes they just, I guess it's their hormones. They start acting a little crazy.
Are we talking boy crazy? Are we talking boy crazy here?
Oh God! Oh God! Oh God, Theresa.
You're actually probably pretty much better off than most people, because a lot of people have those problems when girls turn roughly like 13, 14. And so for you to have been able to stave it off as long as 17, that's probably pretty good. Because
well, 13, she stopped hugging me and she stopped kissing me, and she said, I want you to stay behind me when I walk, and that was her relationship with me. Because this is what I always say is, like, when daughters hit puberty, a spaceship comes with aliens. They abduct them and they put a clone that looks just like them. But the clone is deaf, blind, mute. So when you call their name, they don't hear it. When you talk to them, they don't look at you. Like, all these things. And then before they turn 18, they bring them back and they switch them out. So I have another year before those aliens return my original child before she hit puberty.
Well,
it's difficult. I'm telling you, it's difficult. I have nightmares.
Yeah, but you know what? I think this is a totally different era right now that we're living in than what I was living in when I was a little girl, because I can remember physical discipline was very much a lot in our house, like spankings with
there's nothing wrong with physical discipline.
I understand that, but spankings with belts, spankings with brooms, whatever. Whatever was handy. I can remember when I was roughly about 10, 11 years old, and I wasn't sweeping the dining room floor right when we lived at the ranch, and my mom just picked up the broom and started hitting me with it, and broke my hand. And the doctor actually said to me, after he met with my mother, I think you deserved it. And I thought, really? You're telling me you think I deserved it? So back then, I don't think child abuse, if you want to call that child abuse, I don't think that was as much then as it is now. If someone was to hit someone with a broom now, my God, you'd be thrown in jail, But I remember physical abuse a lot when I was growing up. And I remember one time, roughly when I was about 16 years old, and, I had a curfew, and it was always 10 o'clock. And I was so, and I can relate to you right now because of your daughter and the age she is now versus the age I was then. But if my parents told me to be home at 10 o'clock, I purposely would sit on the driveway in the car until 10:15 and come in the house 15 minutes late, because I thought, why do I have to listen to you? I can do whatever I want. And my mother became so pissed off at me. She finally threatened me one night when I pulled that same stunt again. She said, you know what? I've had it. You can go live at a girls' school, because if you're not going to listen to us and not abide by our rules, then you can just go live somewhere else where they can teach you what rules really mean. And I'm telling you what, Maz, that scared the living shit out of me. I mean, I cried, I screamed. I totally thought it was true, and she was only tricking me. But I mean, like, that's what it took for me to finally, because it didn't matter how much my mom beat the crap out of me with a broom or belts or her hands. Nothing scared the crap out of me as much as telling me I was going to have to go to a girls' school.
Oh, yeah. I mean, let But let me tell you one thing. You're right. In the olden days, when you hear about spankings and stuff like that, it was something very normal and common. Now, all of the kids are like, uh, the wind blew in my face and I'm upset now. My parents raised their voice at me. This and that. Nothing like a good old spanking on the hand. That's what I always say. Just a spanking on the hand, though. Yeah, like don't touch that, don't do that. But when they get to an older age, you can't spank them. You just have to see what you can do to communicate better with them. Because, when we had this situation a few weeks ago, I'm being honest with you, my anxiety was so high because this is your firstborn child, your daughter, the one you love the most, you want to take care of. You don't want to lose this precious thing that you raised all your life to, like, supposedly like this guy. So for me, it was a little bit of a wake up call saying, um, communicate better with her. Although I was, but it's just I think that I wasn't saying the things that she wanted me to hear, that she wanted to hear from me. And you talk to them because right now, Theresa, back in the days, you didn't have to have that much of a degree to survive.
Right.
With this economy right now, and what's happening with technology in the world, and all these, every 5 years there's an upgrade in on Earth, in life,
Right.
and it's like you need to keep up with it. So basically, you need to tell them, listen, that's what I did to my daughter. I said, is this the life that you want to have ruined by a guy? Graduate, you're about to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
Your dream is to go to an Ivy League school, but you're not even going to make it, to the janitor's section of that Ivy League school. If that is the plan that you have, you're going to let a guy ruin your life.
Right.
So I guess you just have to talk to them and show to them that come could, because when I was 17, I didn't think there was anything beyond that age.
Right.
I don't think any of them see that.
And I don't think they do. And plus, I think they all think they're invincible. So
Oh yeah,
they really can't think beyond.
I thought I
where
was
they're at.
immortal. I thought I was immortal. I'm not kidding you. I used to jump from we had a penthouse in Germany that my mom still does, Theresa. I used to jump from the living room balcony outside of the walls to the bedroom balcony. I used to think I was immortal. When I think about it now, I get sweaty palms. So at that age, you think you're immortal. You think you're invincible. You think you don't see anything beyond it. But then the hormones drop again after 18, and you're like, "Holy shit! What have I done?"
Right.
So I guess as parents or as anybody that's raising a child for discipline, I think the most important thing is to let them know that there is a life after that, decline of hormones, and that they don't want to get to a point where they'll have regrets.
Right.
And that's how I see it. And in a world where everything is just, everybody is trying to compete with each other, the worst thing in the world is probably opportunity of your future for a stupid little crush you had in high school.
Right. Well, and it's amazing because, all weekend, all the twins could talk about was what car they were going to have when they were 16. And I'm thinking,
that's a motivation. That's a motivation there.
I know, but I can't. At 8 years old, I was not thinking of what car I wanted to buy.
Oh yeah, I know. I know what you're saying.
I'm just like, why are these 8-year-olds, why aren't they thinking of what's their next bicycle going to be? Or, but instead they're thinking of they're like, Grandma, what kind of car do you want us to have when we're 16?
No, they're telling you, Grandma, what kind of car are you going to buy us?
Exactly, yeah. Exactly. Zach was like, are you going to buy me a truck, Grandma? And I'm like, but I'm going to buy you a truck? I'm like, why are you even thinking about car? But they know every kind of car that's out there. If they see a car, they can tell you what car it is. They can tell you how fast that car goes. I'm like, good God, how do they know this at the age of 18 or, of 8? Well, I came to figure out it's those stupid games on the iPads because you get to choose what car you want to race and all. So they start studying all this stuff. So these boys at 8 years old are like totally into what car they're going to have.
It's technology and the world has changed. And I'm not that much older than my daughter because I was 20 when she was born, but she sometimes forgets how much younger I am than the other parents. So I can relate to her, and she listens to a point.
Right.
But I guess this time I just gave her a wake up call.
So
Sometimes, yeah,
so let me ask you, what was the discipline from what she did?
the discipline was you can't stop kids from anything. So you either have to work your way with them, and you have see us parents. The good thing about us is we have the control over the money, we have the control over the food, we have the control over the shelter, we have the control over a lot of things and we don't know about.
Right.
And believe me, no kid in this world wants to go through hell because of a crush.
Right.
No kid in this world likes to be hungry or kicked out of their house or stuck on the street. So I said, if this is the plan that you want, you might as well just move into your future mother-in-law's house because because my daughter has to go to college.
Right.
I think the most important thing in this world is to empower women and girls to realize that they are not just a piece of meat.
So
she talked to them. Yeah.
So she didn't like the idea of having to move out?
No, of course she doesn't. She is. That's what I'm telling you. It's a blessing because compared when I compare my daughter to a lot of the other teenage girls, I came along, but she's a good girl. She's very into her family. I guess the most important thing is spend enough time with your children and keep them busy with yourselves, not with strangers.
Right.
And as a father, I think the most important role a father plays in a daughter's life is let yourself be that one man that she always depends on.
Right.
Whether it's emotionally, whether it's for guidance, let her come to you than to go to any other man in this world.
Right.
So discipline, Theresa, I guess it's up to a point what you can do. Little kids you have a little bit more control over. But when you get to that age where they're teenagers, the best thing you can do is just strategy and tactics.
Right, right.
You got to find that little threshold where it hurts them, and you just take it. Right now, she brings the phone at home. When she comes from school, we take it. She gets it back in the morning. And on weekends, only if we're going out and it's necessary for her to have it, she has it.
Right.
And no technology, nothing in her room, nothing whatsoever. Believe it or not, they will find two soup cans and they'll make a phone and they'll start talking.
Right, right. So I guess the discipline was, you had to hit her where it hurts, which is kind of the technology side of it. So she can't, be in contact with these people after hours, like apparently she was doing before, and so you've got a little bit more control of her phone and what's going on. So I guess the takeaway here is you gotta do what works for you and your family, and
discipline is very important though to have.
Yes,
with your children. If you don't, they will.
It's no different than when they were 2 years old or 1 year old, and they're walking around the coffee table and they try to reach for something they're not supposed to get a hold of, and you have to pop their hand, right? You're trying to teach them right from wrong. So the funny thing is how little things are when we first start out with our children, like popping them on a hand because they don't, you don't want them to touch something hot or whatever. Now it grows into, when they're 17, 18, having to take away their electronics and find ways to, so it's all about teaching people right from wrong and hoping you raise them into decent human beings.
That's the goal. I know. I think without discipline, you can't have that. Without discipline and organization and structure, you can't do that.
Well, and I think that's why also, I'm not the grandma that just spoils the grandkids because my daughter is a single parent. I think she needs that added backup support, with the twins because, she's only her. She doesn't have a daddy in the picture. So, she's got to have some backup support. So I'm that person. And, she also uses her father who lives in another state as the backup to, if the boys are out of line, sometimes she's got to FaceTime with grandpa, Dean up there. And, he clamps down on the boys. So, I think as a single parent too, and your mother did the same thing. You gotta have some backup resources once in a while.
Oh yeah, let me tell you one thing. My mom, when she would, let's say we were at a party, and I would do something wrong, my mother would give me one glance, just one look. I would shit my pants for 3, 4 hours, and that would be it. That
Yeah,
would be it, and I would be scared to even go home
yeah,
because I knew the second I would go home, my mom would drill my brain with the shit that I just did.
yeah, yeah.
So if I saw my mom's eyebrow going up, I would freeze and shit my pants. That's how it was before, and I'm not that much of a difference of an age with my daughter, but my God, things have changed.
Right. Definitely. Definitely. So I don't know. It's an interesting topic because, like I said, back 40 some years ago when I was younger, times were different, and with the world growing like it is and technology like it is, it's getting harder and harder. One of my biggest fears is kids on the internet. There's just so much scum and crap out there on the internet. You just don't want your kids to learn anything on the internet, and there's just so much bad stuff out there. But you got to have those parental controls there also.
Absolutely. Yeah, right now, everything is advancing so much, and Theresa, the kids at school are not even what they used to be 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has changed so much, and I blame it all on technology.
Yeah, yeah. I think technology is somewhat of a curse.
It is a curse. It is. It's all
blessing.
It's an advantage, a blessing, but also a curse.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, the less technology, the better they are off.
And that's coming from a social media guru.
Absolutely, absolutely. My son is. We monitor him maybe an hour once in a while. We give him his iPad. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
And Theresa, I'm not just saying technology as in iPads and phones and this and that. I'm talking about even TVs.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like that's all they do. That's all they want to do. And nowadays, the kids.
Well, that's why they know when they come to grandma's house that I said, you're not coming to grandma's house to sit on a couch and play with your iPad. Go get in the swimming pool, go jump on the tramp, go play soccer. We live on 2 acres. There's so much to do outside. I'm like, no, you're not going to just sit at my house on an iPad. So,
oh yeah, that's the best thing to do.
Yeah. So with that said, guys, I hope you find the takeaway is, do what you got to do and do what works for you, and
discipline your children.
Yeah. But don't beat them.
Yeah, don't beat them. Don't break their arms, but discipline them.
Oh, well, thanks, Maz. This was a great topic. You have such great insight. You're much older and wiser than your years of age, I think.
Oh, thanks, Theresa. I wish you could take on me because I feel like a 70-year-old after what I've been through with these kids.
So with that said, guys, get out there and find me all over social media. I'm everywhere: Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, you name it. Once again, subscribe to this channel so you can keep listening to the podcasts, and get out there and find my other YouTube channel. We have a lot of fun, a lot of videos. So with that said, I hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and we'll catch you later.
Bye, Theresa.
Bye.
You've been listening to Conversations in the Closet. We will return again same time next week. Brought to you by NI30D Athletics.